Yeah, guys, we've had an inquiry come through, and I'll just read it verbatim. I'm always butting heads with my finance manager. I seem to have to chase him up constantly for the information I've asked for, and he's agreed to give. So, yeah, I'm happy to kind of kick that one off, and I guess unsurprisingly, for me, I would start with, have positive regard and assume positive intent. So really, for me, the way to begin to unpack this with this individual is to help you collectively discover so what's going on in the context that's causing this to happen. Because invariably in organizational life, it's the context rather than the personalities very often that drive people's behavior, good, bad, or indifferent, or should I say desirable or undesirable. Um, so there needs to be a conversation. For me, for these sorts of conversations, it's really important we do just a couple of things. We ask their permission to have the conversation. We state very clearly its purpose. So in this context, I would say, would it be okay if we had a conversation that by which we jointly understand how you can be more successful in your role, and do what you can to deformalize that. So if you have it in an office, don't have it either side of a desk. Probably better still to get out in the fresh air and have a walk. So set the scene for that one, and then a great way of opening the conversation is saying, your performance is a function of my behavior and skills, experience, and knowledge, and yours. So, would you like just to share anything that you think I could do that would mean that um, the performance is better, that things get done on time, etc., etc. So start by soliciting that feedback, um, and then follow up with lots of good supplementary questions, and genuinely treat this as a bit of a voyage of discovery, without any blame or judgment, but just how can we both collectively raise the bar here? Basically, that's kind of how I'd kick off.
Yeah, this resonated with my experiences. I think I butted heads with a few finance people, finance directors, and that's an adversary. This well, the way it's phrased makes it sound like this has become an adversarial relationship, which is not very productive going forward. Um, so I think the first thing to do is just like reflect. Well, okay, a relationship requires two people. How have I approached this? What have I done? Am I being annoying to this person or unreasonable in what I'm asking for? Um, and why might he be responding in the way that he is? Probably worth speaking to some of your peers if you haven't already. Is this something that everybody gets or just you? It's not uncommon for finance directors to be deliberately a bit prickly and not standoffish and awkward because that way they feel they're able to sort of more easily say no to things, which is actually their favorite hobby. Um, and you've probably got your back up a bit as well. So you're probably thinking, oh, this guy's just being an arsehole. You need to get that out of the way. Put your ego aside, and as Ben said, sit down with them, but approach it from the point of view of, we're going to reach an agreement here. I'm going to make it a win-win, even if I have to, you know, bend the knee in front of him because that's what he demands. Because actually, if it carries on like this, we both lose, and I probably lose more than he does.
Yeah, I think very often we define our goals in our own context and within our own boundaries. Right? We have set our own priorities. We make that priority number one, and we can't understand why the other people that surround us don't see it in the same way. And I think to recalibrate that is absolutely crucial in a case like this. The finance manager may well see his role in life is producing the financials and the financial reports on time for the CEO. But actually, that's in support of the business at large, or the targets that the business have set. And you have probably a derived objective yourself if you're not careful. So maybe it's time to check in indeed with this finance manager and just reflect on that both. What actually you could do both to better serve the overall purpose of the company, and what for the CEO at the moment may be the most important thing. Well, hopefully that might actually mean that, well, first and foremost, it will probably mean that you and your finance colleague will understand each other much better. And that's a great basis to improve cooperation going forward. And secondly, if you're lucky, you might actually be able to weed out some bits that are no longer that relevant. Both that person, your finance colleague, and yourself can do a bit of that. And actually, you may be able to also offer some of your support to your finance colleague in order to make their life easier, and also get a more prompt response to your requests. And maybe that's a good basis of a more productive relationship going forward.
Something else just occurred to me about this as well, which is, the irritation here is that the person's made a request and it hasn't been fulfilled, even though it's been agreed to. So, and that's really, really annoying. So maybe it's just part of it. The conversation could be to the finance director, look, I'd rather you said no than said yes and we're unable to deliver. Or I'd rather you came back and said, I can't do it in that time scale, but I could do it in, 2 weeks later.
So kind of to summarize, I think there are two interdependent parts to this. One is the relationship, which our interpretation of the challenges has become adversarial. So I think the advice from all three of us is first make the first move to repair the relationship, and then there's the more practical area of improvement, which is around how do we recut this, and they're joined in the middle, I think, by what Colin's just said, which is around, if people are consistently unreliable, then trust is absent by definition. Yeah. And we know that the relationship is not going to be good. So again, the bit in the middle is really around just being clear about those expectations and agreeing stuff that both parties know is realistic.
Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of Work Punks. We would love to hear your views, whether this has touched a nerve. We're looking forward to seeing you at our next episode. We were Colin Newlyn of Decrapify Work, Ben Simpson of VitalOrg, and Paul Jansen of TrustWorks. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.